Merlin, how to animate a three-dimensional object in Blender. Hello everyone, my name is John Capobianco, and in the previous segment you saw me implement the rotation and how I modified the rotation speed with math nodes in animation nodes in Blender. Well, this logo here has not been animated yet, and what we're going to do is animate it. So we're going to follow the same pattern and the same code. It really is just a few objects. So first what we need is the object's input. So in Blender this is Shift A, or I could Control A and search for it. But let's use Shift A, and we're going to use an object input. Object, object. And now what object do we want? Well, I want this PyATS logo, which is called PyATS logo. PyATS logo, the proxy. Now that proxy will let us control this. So what do we need to do? Well, we need an object transform output to transform the output, meaning where it's located, it's z-axis, x-axis, y-axis rotation. So we're going to go to object, transform the output. And we're going to put this here, and what we want to transform is our XYZ, and this opens up the rotation. And what do we want to we want to modify this object. So now it's set to zeros here. Now what we're going to do is set its default rotation under the object properties to just be 90, so it at least starts flat where we want it. And I'm going to do the same thing here, and to make them all start. Now, yeah, I'm going to have to do that again. Let me start the frame at 0 here, all the way to the beginning. And this is going to be 0, 0, 90. And then the same here, 0, 0, 90. All right. So now that we're transforming the output, I could type in the values here and it will rotate. Well, we want that to be based on the frame number. And you can see I'm on frame 1 of 500 frames. So what we want is a time info node. So again, Shift A, and what we want is time and number. Is it under number? Maybe it's just under time itself. Let's just search for it here and say time info. There it is, time info. It's under animations. There it is, Shift A, animation, time info. So we're going to time info. Now, what's the difference here? If you notice, the default only has the frame. We have to add these other pieces of information if we're going to use them. I'm not going to use them, but if you wanted them, you would have to go under the node, and you just select them here to turn those on or off. In fact, I'm going to turn those off because I'm not actually using them, and it just makes it a little cleaner. So now how do we connect, right, the time to the frame? Well, we need a combine Euler. So we're going to say Shift A and look for combine. Object. Oh, I feel like combine has its own. Am I missing it? Let's just search for combine Euler. And we're going to plug this combine Euler in here. And right, we want the frame to, ultimately we're going to tie it into all three. But we want to change the speed first, right? So let's go ahead and add our math nodes. We can connect our Euler to the rotation for now. And again, we're going to have to reset these things before we start the animation so it starts pretty. Now let's add our math nodes. So Shift A, number, math. And we want 3 of these, so we can Control Z, Control V, Control Z, Control V. And let's go ahead and connect these nodes now in there. And we want to use the degree, and we're going to tie the frame number in. So what I think we're going to do is have them rotate at different speeds. So this is 1.5. Let's make the PyATS roll ever so slightly slower. So 125, let's say 125. And as you can see, it's already changing. And then this last one is 125. Now let's reset them, our starting positions. And the same with the PyATS. Although we know it's going to work because it's taking that info. And then we're just going to start our animation. So let's try to make this as big as we can. And maybe zoom it into somewhere like there. And now let's start the animation. Right? And around they go. And we can move the camera around. You can see that the shadows are changing and rotating. We can move around this data. Nice little animated logos that will run animated as these counters climb when we actually start running the job to feed the data. Isn't that fun? Isn't that incredible? Thank you so much. I hope you start trying this at home. I am making this and have made this all available on open source. So let me show you here. I'm going to save as and save this up as the backup. And if I close this in my repository here, you're going to notice that I have changed these files, which I'm now going to push in. And I'm going to say, right, animated logos. And I'm going to push that into main, which ends up on GitHub. Which one is my GitHub? If I go to my GitHub, there's a Merlin 3D now where those files are being pushed. The README file is all here, and you should be ready to just spin up a DevNet sandbox, have all your WSL ready, and start running those animations that you just saw. So thank you for joining me, and stay safe.